Hi and welcome to the channel and welcome to a new video. And before I start, I will say one thing. Thanks for all the views I'm getting. I've got over 500,000 views now, and that's all down to you people watching and liking the channel and my videos, and I'm just glad you do it. So I think it's a big thank you to you all. Anyway, back on to today's video. Now, I've been testing cars since around 2006. And on the channel there's one or two tests, or I think maybe there's actually just the one. I think there's a Skoda Citigo there, electric car, that I did about 2 years ago. Anyway, today we've got the Suzuki, the new Suzuki S Cross, which has been revamped early on this year. And I've got the Ultra model, which is basically the top of the range. Now, they've done quite a bit of styling remake over on the Suzuki, and the thing is, in this sector the SUV market is very, very crowded, and you've got a lot of established car brands in there, such as Nissan with the Qashqai and VW with the Tiguan, so it's really up against it. But what I'm going to do is give you a good old sort of fair review on it. I'll have a drive of it. I've been driving it around for about a week now. I'll tell you the pros and cons, and I'll also tell you that this car is just over £30,000. Well, I think it's about 36,499 as it stands, with a couple of extras on it. But it's a 1.4 petrol. It's got the new turbo on it, and it also says it's a hybrid, but it's actually not quite true, because a hybrid is a plug-in jobby. This is a mild hybrid, so it gets the small battery charged up as you're braking, etc., and that gives you that extra bit of oomph when it comes to taking off on the traffic lights, and saves a little bit on fuel. So it's really a mild hybrid, not a full hybrid. But anyway, let's have a look around the car and see what you think. Right, now then, we're just coming down off from the tops, and the road is a single track road, because this car will go off on a little bit of rough stuff. It is the all-wheel drive version. If you get the more basic model range, that's only two-wheel drive, and most people that'll be sufficient. But if you want a little bit of extra, how can I put it, sure-footedness, even on sort of very wet, slippery roads, maybe the all-wheel drive is exactly what you need. So it's a perfectly dry day today, of course, and I've been on a little bit of grass, but nothing that would stop any car, to be quite honest. And there's a little bit of road noise coming off the tyres there. Now, and what I am surprised at, I think there are only 17-inch alloys on this, and I would have thought this would have come with 19-inch alloys, to be quite honest. But then again, that would probably affect the ride. So how is the ride on this, you say? Well, around town, there's been several big potholes I've gone over, and to be quite honest, it does absorb those potholes pretty well. But then again, there's always a downside for that, an SUV especially, and that is a bit of body roll. Well, I'm on the road that I know really quite well. I've been coming up and down here for many, many years, more years than I care to remember. I've motorbiked, I've cycled, I've towed down here, etc. And yeah, so I know this very well. Now this is on the A65, and it's a good road for basically giving your car a little bit of a test, because some nice sweepy corners on this, which will tell us how the car behaves regarding body roll. And engine-wise, I can hear the engine quite, you know, the road noise is still there. I don't know if you can hear it on the microphone, but it's quite noisy. I have got the sunroof, panoramic sunroof, which is standard on this, slightly ajar too. Wow, no Reliant Scimitar then. And this is why I used to come caravanning with my parents here a lot actually over the years. Anyway, yeah. So how's it going? Well, it's going pretty well. I've been averaging about 43 to the gallon. I think Suzuki claim more about 50, but I've only managed 43. So, you know, again, it depends how you drive it, of course. Now, I'm sort of doing about 50 miles an hour, 55. And the road surface is pretty good anyway. And it's really driving on quite nicely. There is a little bit of tendency to roll, and you know, it does feel a little bit light on the steering too. And of course, on this model, you don't get a digital readout here like you now are getting on a lot of new cars, which seems a bit of a strange thing to really omit, to be quite honest, on a new model. Now, it does come with things like adaptive cruise control, and also other safety measures to warn you that people are coming, overtaking, that sort of thing, and also emergency stop in case anything comes out in front of you and it reacts far before you do. And that happened to me only the other day with it, to be quite honest, and I can tell you the brakes work very well. So driving position, it's pretty comfortable. It's quite easy to get comfortable as well. Now the seating, it's part leather, but I just don't know about it because it just feels a little bit, how can I put it, the style of the seat looks a bit dated. I'll show you after anyway. But there's plenty of room in this cabin. All the controls are relatively easy to get hold of as well. And the sound system in here, really, I'm really quite impressed with, because I've always been a bit of a hi-fi buff, to be quite honest, and I do like a good sound system in a car. Now, there's a big 9-inch screen on here, which is pretty good. The informant system it's got sat nav on there. It's got Bluetooth, all the bits you'd expect. But it can be a little bit slow to react, so it takes a couple of seconds to actually do what you want it to do. Now, for some people, that's probably not a problem, but in this day and age where we're wanting to do things instantly and things need to be done quick, if it was my daughter, she'd be moaning that it was far too slow. But that aside, everything else, as I say, is pretty well laid out. And the cabin noise, you get that rumble again off the road. Now this is the sort of tarmac macadam rough stuff, which is not the smooth tarmac as you normally get on some roads, so you do tend to hear it more. Now, I'm going to go down some back roads in a minute, and I'm going to head for a place called Burton in Lonsdale. And again, this place has some very happy sort of memories coming through here on my motorbike and knocking around with a mate of mine who lived around there, which I met through going caravanning with my parents. Right, I've just gone through the village, and I'm going to go up this here hill here. Now, this is a pretty steep hill. I've got up here many times in various cars and motorbikes, but it is quite, I mean, it's not drastic, but it is steep enough, and it's got a fair old bit of a bend here, So the car's dropped down a notch. It's going up really well. I can feel it pulling nicely. And we're up and round, yeah. And again, twisted them. That's it. And dropped down and off as accelerate away. Well, it went up there pretty easy peasy. And I think with 4 of you or 5 of you in the car, you'd probably still find that would be the way. That sort of electric motor does give it that bit of oomph as you come, you know, as you go up the hill there, or if you're overtaking. But of course, if you're not careful, you will start using the extra little bit of fuel up as well. So you start to defeat the object a little bit, but now, see, I grew up on these sort of roads. I learned to drive on these sort of roads with my dad's Cortina, and I always think it's a good experience to drive on back roads. Right. Well, these are sort of back roads, I just like going down. And this is what this car's made for, to be quite honest. I took it, as I say, I went off a little bit on a bit of a rough track before, when we were filming up on the tops, and it was a rough farm track. I went down and had to turn round, and it was very loose, sort of gravelly stuff actually, and I was on a bit of a slope, and I sort of just drove when it was fine. There was no wheel spin or anything, to be quite honest. As I say, Suzuki have designed it so it will go on rather wet grass and still come away okay. Right, I'm going down a really little back road now. Now, if there's any rattle as you can hear, it's my Coke can in the back there, actually. But you know, the car is rattle-free. There's no doubt about it. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty smooth. Oh, it's a cyclist here. Shout, mate. Otherwise, you'll end up over your handlebars. All right. Thank you. That's the thing we've got to remember, of course, on these back roads, is you've got to remember there's just not you around, and if anybody turns up, you've got a brake there. But I've tried these. You know, these brakes are pretty keen. So, general visibility, it's good. There's plenty of good visibility around. You've got cameras as well on the side, so you can see around, and also a 360-degree view as well around the car. So there's lots of little features like that which people will love, and it's quite a lot of things that you wouldn't normally get on some of the other cars at this sort of price level. So Suzuki have tried to put quite a lot in. As I say, cabin quality isn't bad. There's some hard, scratchy plastics, and some nice sort of soft ones as well down here, but there is that scratchy type plastic which does lower the tone a bit. And I've said a little bit about the seats. Also, another thing, the mirrors don't fold in automatically either, and there's no powered tailgate, which I'm a bit surprised again at this type of price level and the way that this is geared to an upper market range. So there's one or two little things there I'm a little bit surprised about, but on the whole, it's not badly equipped. Would I buy one? Well, it's another alternative, isn't it? And Suzuki are hoping people are going to look at it and say, yeah, we'll go for it. Because Suzuki, of course, we know the Vitara, the Jimny are also cars that they're known by. And the Jimny, I mean, I've driven the Jimny, I've tested one down in Wales in a lot of snow some years ago now, one early Easter, and do you know what? That car just went where I didn't expect it to go at all, and we never had a problem with 3 of us and a dog with it. It was a bit cramped inside, and a bit sort of agricultural, but hey, it really did what it needed to do on some really bad little back roads which were quite slippery and very icy and snowy. So I think we need to do a bit of a summary on this. So we'll be doing one very shortly, and I'll show you how much legroom there is in the back as well. There's plenty of legroom here at the front, and there's quite a lot of storage as well. There's a storage here in the middle. You can put a cup in there, a storage cubby hole down here under the controls for your heater, etc. And of course it's got things like air conditioning, and not too bad side pouches in the doors. So overall it's not too bad for general bits and bobs to store when you're driving along, and as we know, if you've got kids, those soon fill up. Well, the boot, and again, like I said before, I'm surprised it hasn't got a powered lift at the back lid. Now, we've had the camera gear in the back here today, and yeah, I think there's something like 400 litres of space, but I'd like to go for what you actually can get in. Now, there's also a double compartment there, so basically you can put some more stuff in the bottom here, and then when that lifts up, of course, you've got a spare wheel. Well, no, you haven't got a spare wheel, because that is an optional extra. And Suzuki, what they do, like most car manufacturers now, they actually give you some liquid, which is okay, but it's not much use if you burst the tyre proper, and then you've got to get the AA or RAC out. So personally, I'd always order with a spare wheel. As I say, it's not a powered tailgate at all, and that's a little bit disappointing. The mirror's there, the camera there for the reverse, etc., which is a good reversing camera, gives you plenty to see and look at when you're going at the back there. Well, rear legroom isn't too bad. I mean, I'm 5'7", but if I was a bit taller, my head would probably be touching the ceiling. The panoramic sunroof certainly had some nice light airy feel about the car, and again, as I said, there's plenty of vision all around. The windows are deep, so when you're sort of coming out of a junction you can see clearly, and also for people travelling in the back, they're going to see and have a good amount of vision too. If you had a tall driver in the front, these seats were further back, then you may find that this could be a little bit uncomfortable on a long journey. There's a rest here with cup holders, which we've got our cans of popping, and all in all it's very comfortable. Right, what do I think of the new Suzuki S Cross? Well, it's certainly quite a nice looking car in all fairness. It's a typical SUV, and I say, there's lots of nice touches to it. I'd like to have seen some bigger wheels on there. I'd have liked to have seen the powered tailgate. Those have been things I would have expected. Build quality, it's not bad. The doors don't feel quite hefty as you'd find on some cars. It just gives you that little bit of a doubt as to how long it will last and be as endurable, if you like. But I'm sure, judging off what Suzuki cars have been like over the years, it will still be going when some of them maybe have packed up. So, if you've got just over 30,000 to spend and you want a mild hybrid, this is the one to go and have a look at. But there is a lot of choice out there. I think I'm going to go and get something to eat now. I've been out all day, and this fresh air has really got me hungry. I really feel like I could do the meal now. And there's lots of little lambs around, barring out you can pick them up on the microphone there. But it's a beautiful spring evening. Yeah, I'll see you on the next video, and look out for some more car reviews coming soon. Maybe a Subaru next, I don't know. We'll have to see. But in the meantime, I'm off to get some tea.